Ah, technology, yes. And text message clicks off all my stuff while we're talking. While I was already talking about how many little problems there was this weekend with all of our new technology. The new technology is awesome, but it has its shortcomings. Of course, what doesn't have shortcomings? Where, there's highs and lows to everything. And that's another thing. If you're doing doodling, it's perfectly acceptable to do sound effects. Sound effects are cool. Kids do them. Kids are cool. I also figured out at an early age that since I wasn't able to play the drums in the house because we had two sleeping babies who just had their birthday today, by the way. My brother and sister are twins, and they had a birthday today. But because I couldn't play drums and I had to be quiet so we wouldn't wake up the sleeping babies, I'd get on here and be like, and that made me feel better. And after a while, that became my fun thing. And drums were sort of a more of a group activity thing. I mean, I still played by myself. I still play by myself sometimes. I play a mean steering wheel now, and I play a hand drum. I don't play a kit anymore, but playing a kit by yourself, you can play for a little while, but I think you drive the neighbors crazy if it's just a drum set going. Drum kits are loud. Let's try a different pen. Oh, this was a big one. Oops, sorry. Another big one. All right. Oh, this one is super tiny. Look at how tiny that is. Kind of afraid to work with it. Oh yeah, that's weird. It's like a calligraphy brush or something. Whoa. Okay, I'm not gonna play with that one. Let's see. This is just a weird one. I have no idea what to do with it yet. So when you ever get into a pinch, turn some stuff into some clouds. Clouds are cool. All you want to do is try to make sure it's not too symmetrical. You know, it's like you do one side bumpy, like this is too, like that's symmetrical, or you know, over here you want to make all this like, you know, kind of be a little different. Every bit of it be a little different than the other parts, so that way it's an interesting cloud. Sometimes if you go too fast, you just mess up the lines. But since this is a doodle, it's all fine. It's all good in the neighborhood. Speaking of neighborhoods, this is the reason I started doing this was because Forecast Public Art group decided that we needed some additional imagination kickers, you know, or like people that could show, hey man, you don't have to sit at home alone and be bored, you know, like what I'm doing here. You know, there's like 19 other artists that all got included into this situation. Everybody's working on their own versions of this, and like sort of getting it out there to the greater population, but sort of starting at home. I mean, that was the main thing, was like, what can you do with your neighborhood? What can you bring to your neighborhood? And that was funny. I thought, well, I don't know how neighborhoody this is, but you know, you can definitely do this in your own home. And you know, if you've got fun music or an audio book or something, you know, that you can put in your headphones so that you're zoned out for a while. You can really get in depth with these things, man. But tonight we're just taking it easy and doodling. Well, since it has nowhere that it's really going, then I'm just gonna keep messing. Another good thing if you ever get stuck, figure out what you're getting ready to draw or whatever. Make a tree. I'm not gonna do it right here. I don't think. Well, why not? I could do it. I'm trying to make some sense of whatever this thing is. Maybe it's not a tree. I don't know. It is fun sometimes when you find a face in there or something that you didn't mean for it to be there, and it's like, whoa, look at that, or an elephant or something that you weren't planning on, but came together very nicely after all. The hard thing if I'm up there painting or something, and someone goes, wow, I love that dragon, or whatever it is that they see. And if I didn't happen to be the one that made that dragon, or, if I didn't intentionally put that dragon there, then I'm sort of stuck where it's like, I have to sort of tell them, hey man, let go of the dragon, because, if I didn't put it there, then I'm not going to be able to protect it very well, or go back and fix it very well, or very believably, unless it's something that I find, and then I'm like, ooh, and can enhance it and mess it up as much as I want. And if it's someone else has already found it, and then they're loving it, and it's like, oh man, I apologize, but you're gonna have to, not look at that, because that's not part of the picture yet, or that hasn't been realized by the picture itself. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like once I decide, hey, this thing might be a dragon, then the whole picture starts moving in that direction. I can't just like out of the blue be like, oh, there's a dragon. Or you can. Yeah, I guess you can do whatever you want. Here I am talking about limitations on art. That's kind of silly. But it's true when it comes to live art, because I'm trying to stay with the flow of the music when it's live art, live painting with live music. I'm sort of at the mercy of the music. And if I'm having to tiptoe around a dragon, that's kind of a obstruction. All right, I may do something that I don't normally do, at least not on here. Let's flip it over. Let's look at it for a minute like this. It's just as confusing upside down as it was right side up. Well, I guess maybe I'll keep going with the way it was, so that way I don't do the upside down stuff on this side, or the rest of it's obviously the other way around or whatever. But, it doesn't mean you can't do it like that. I was learning how to draw laying down, and then I had to start figuring out a better way to do the camera, the phone, and ended up having to learn or remind myself how to draw sitting up again. But I'm sure I learned how to do that at one point, but I'm still sort of relearning it. I'm used to lying down on the floor, laying down. And I'm not lying. And another thing that really helps for making doodles that have some depth to them, if you have several different sizes of tips, you can make the bigger things are larger up close, and the smaller stuff is supposed to be smaller. So I'll show you. Hold on. All these are pretty much the same size, except these things are pretty thick. But if you grab one of these guys, yeah. You see, when you go back behind there and you're using a smaller tip, you see how different that? I mean, that's like huge difference. So I'm gonna have to like build this up a little bit to make it look like it's still part of that other line. Uh-oh, then my pen starts going dry. Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. It's okay. I know Mark Murphy, and he has assured me that he has nothing to do with Murphy's Law. That came without him. He has nothing to do with it. So that's a good thing to know. This is just getting weirder and weirder. But you know, if these turn into coloring pages or something, maybe this will be good for a coloring page. I don't know. Oh. I used to like to draw more with a pencil so I could go back and clean things up before I hit it with ink, but then started becoming more fun to take the chance with the ink, and it made it hard to start with a pencil and then switch over to pen without getting it all smudgy, because the pencil likes to smear a little bit if you rub your hand over it. Ink will too if it's wet, but you know, not as bad if it's a decent pen. And that's what I had, is decent pens. Well, it sure helps. I mean, you can still do it with a Bic or, you know, whatever you got handy, because that's how I grew up. And then they had different colored Bics, and that was always fun, being able to like do like a whole picture with pen, but they were definitely like colorful. All right, this is weird. I didn't bring anything to drink, so I'm thirsty now. Oh. Oh, why not? Let's do a tree. This is not a happy little tree. This is a rage tree! Because happy trees have already been done, and I think they're copyrighted, so we will just stick with a different kind of tree. One that can get up and walk away, or do a hula hoop if it wants to. I mean, you know, who would want to be stationary forever if you had the ability to walk around? Not that this tree is going to be a walker, but could be. And the way I'm doing this tree stuff, you can totally do that with clouds too. So you can do whatever you want. Do what you want to. You don't get to do that everywhere. Everybody has so many good rules that they want you to follow. You go to Doodle Land, there are no rules. As long as it looks good to you, that's the only thing that matters. That tree doesn't look terrible there. This is still music by the Big Woo. They were local to Minneapolis for many years. I think they still are. Although they've been playing more and more in Colorado, moving around a little bit. But we grew up with them here in Minnesota. They were our new little Grateful Dead when those bands were not kicking for a while. These guys kept on going. And they were local, so we could get to them pretty easily. So the tickets weren't that expensive, which is always nice. I found that small pin again. The good thing about doodling is you can leave parts of the paper untouched, and it's not going to count off any points. So you set up some little things that look like they're going off in the distance, and start with some stuff that's sort of up close. Hold on, let me get a bigger pen for this part. There we go. Nature is always the thing that I fall back on. Grass and clouds and trees always make themselves at home, no matter what kind of weird picture you got. So it's like, now this is like some sort of monolith or something breaking apart or being built in the sky with a tree. Yeah. Reaching, huh? Really reaching on that one. Let's see here. Well, I feel sad that I keep leaving you guys for so long without talking, because I'm sure that gets kind of boring, but not for me, because I'm doodling. You should doodle too. If you don't like to doodle, you don't have to. I mean, you could always doodle with a guitar, or doodle with the piano, or doodle with crochet, perhaps. I don't know if that's possible or not. I'll have to ask. I've got some friends that could tell me. But reach in there, reach into your imagination, see what's around there. Because, I mean, this is the time when we want to be getting ourselves stronger to be ready for when we can go back out and play, you know? And so imagination is still important, no matter what your field is, I think. I mean, it's always like a criteria when they're judging something, you know, about how well structured it is, how imaginative or how creative or whatever. So it's still a viable thing, you know, having your imagination active and not being rusty is a good idea. I believe so. Wow, this was a strange one. Hopefully it wasn't too strange for you. Just taking a little bit off the edge of a couple of these little spots. Well, you know, I didn't really keep up with the time. Let's see what time it is. Oh, I think I went over, but you know, same time, this one needed every bit of attention for a while because it is definitely the weirdest one yet. But appreciate you guys hanging out with me, man, and look forward to seeing you again in the near future. And I hope that your day goes well tomorrow or today or whatever this is. Later, guys. Keep doodling.